More rain and storms for some of us, but by the weekend, oh, it's crashing the cold front time and it is going to get cold. Let's talk about it in the Wednesday edition of the Texas Weather Roundup. Good morning. It is Wednesday, the 25th of October, 2023. I'm Texas Storm Chasers David Reimer. We are going to be dealing with plenty of showers and storms today, tonight, into Thursday across portions of the state. With that, the risk of flash flooding will increase, and we may even be dealing with a few severe storms. What weather pattern will continue into this weekend and next week, but with the added complexity of crashing the somewhat Arctic cold front, which means some of us may be dealing with some precipitation that isn't purely liquid. Let's talk about it by looking at the high-res rapid refresh model. This will be for today, tonight, into Thursday. Now, we're going to have a lot of showers and storms continuing today. We've already got showers and storms this morning. They're going to keep on going today, tonight, into Thursday morning. Highest threat for rain and storms this afternoon, through this afternoon, really, and this evening will be northwest Texas, the Big Country, the Concho Valley, the Edwards Plateau, transitioning east into North Texas, Central Texas, and the Hill Country. Some of this activity will be quite heavy in terms of precipitation intensity, thus the risk for flooding will be going up. We do have a tropical air mass in place, meaning heavy rainfall rates. In addition, some of these storms may become strong to marginally severe with pocket change size hail, localized damaging wind gusts, and we can't totally rule out a brief tornado. We'll keep an eye on that possibility for sure, since Mother Nature does like to troll when we let our guard down. Outside of that, rain and storms will translate east tonight into tomorrow morning, making for a wet Thursday morning into Thursday afternoon across the eastern third of Texas, although activity will not be as widespread as it will be today. In terms of forecast rain totals over the next 3 days, this is through Saturday morning. Now, this is kind of regionalized and broad stroke. These will vary over local areas. Some of y'all are probably going to get twice as much of what is shown here. Some of y'all probably aren't going to get a thing and will thus blame me and be angry. But I'm just the messenger. I'm not a particularly boldy and chief messenger, but I'm still the messenger this morning. With that being said, heaviest rains, the potential for 3 to 6 inches of rain by frankly, tomorrow afternoon across portions of Texoma, western North Texas, into the Big Country, Concho Valley, and Hill Country. And again, some rain totals will likely be higher than what is shown here over small localized areas. Otherwise, we're expecting lower rainfall amounts, generally between 1/2 inch and 1.5 inches across central Texas, the Brazos Valley, lowering further as you get into the Arklatex, southeast Texas, the Victoria Crossroads, and the coastal bend. And again, this is through 7 a.m. Saturday. In terms of the threat for flooding today, we now have a moderate risk for flash flooding, meaning instances of flash flooding are likely across portions of northwest Texas, western North Texas, the Big Country, into the Concho Valley, even into the Edwards Plateau, which, honestly, if we're going to have a bunch of heavy rain and flooding, might as well put it there where at least we have a bunch of our watersheds. So bring it. We need the rain. Let's fill up some of these lakes. But again, please be mindful that roads, especially low water crossings, construction zones, the typical trouble spots, are probably going to have issues with high water later today, tonight, into Thursday morning. And even some areas that perhaps don't flood too often, where we see the heaviest rains, those could also become problematic at times. And again, the potential for isolated severe thunderstorms throughout the day into tonight, with the potential for pocket change size hail, localized damaging winds, and we can't totally rule out a brief spinny doom. Temperatures over the next few days. Well, southeastern third of Texas, it's going to be hot. It's going to feel like early August. How about early September? Early August might be pushing it. High temperatures in the 60s across West Texas, far west Texas, 70s, northwestern half of Texas, 80s to middle 90s, southeastern third of Texas. Yeah, it's going to be warm. So we head into Thursday as we start to see rain chances begin to diminish somewhat and cloud cover break up a bit, especially across the western third of Texas. We're going to see high temperatures pop back up into the 70s and 80s, still lower to middle 90s across the Rio Grande Plains, Rio Grande Valley. Now, Friday, you can see we're going to start having a cold front push into the Panhandle. This might be a little deceptive here. Remember, these are going to be your high temperatures for the day from 7 a.m. Friday through 7 a.m. Saturday, meaning what you're looking at here, say a high of 66, that could be at 7 a.m. Friday with temperatures falling throughout the day in Amarillo, perhaps. Otherwise, across the remainder of the state, 70s, 80s to middle 90s. And then here's Saturday. Now, this is where we could have some substantial changes as we go over the next day or two, depending on how quickly a cold front pushes south. But it wouldn't be a shock if we ended up having highs in the 50s and low 60s across the northern third of Texas, with the 70s, 80s to lower 90s across the southern two-thirds of Texas. Why, you might ask? Well, let's talk about it. Here we go. This is going to be the global forecast system for pretty much the weekend for our upcoming cold front. Now, what you see here, I promise you the cold front is going to be faster than what is shown. We're going to be dealing with a shallow, somewhat Arctic modified air mass with the upcoming cold front, meaning surface to a few thousand feet above the ground. That'll be the depth of the cold air mass. Above that, we're still going to have a relatively warm and somewhat unstable air mass. And these shallow cold fronts, these shallow cold air masses, tend to move down the plains of the United States a lot more quickly than weather models typically get a handle on. So expect the timing of this to speed up as we get closer. That being said, as we continue, initial cool front will arrive Friday into Saturday morning, northern third of Texas, temperatures in the 50s, 60s, maybe 40s. Big cold front will arrive Saturday afternoon, Saturday night, and Sunday. North winds, 35 to 50 miles an hour. This is going to be one of these cold fronts that you will see a drastic temperature change over a few county radius as the front blasts south. As you can see on this model, temperatures are going to fall into the 30s and 40s behind the cold front. It is going to be cold. These are not wind chills, by the way. Wind chills on Sunday across the northern half of Texas, maybe in the 20s. This is going to be a cold, cold air mass, especially since this is our first real big cold front of the fall season. It's also going to be raining. We're going to have a continuation of rain chances Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So it is going to feel cold. It is going to be cold. And it's probably going to be wet. Not necessarily heavy rain, but it is going to be wet. Which also brings up an interesting conundrum because some folks are going to be kind of close to freezing. Now, we're going to have that warm layer of air a few thousand feet above the ground, meaning snow's not going to happen. But it is not out of the realm of possibility. Some locations do manage to get cold enough to support maybe a little freezing rain, maybe a wee bit of sleet. But before you get all happy and be like, winter storm, yay, let's be clear about this. I'm not saying it's a winter storm. Soil temperatures and ground temperatures are still quite warm. So even if we did have some light winter precipitation, it would be unlikely to actually stick to anything on the surface. It would be exposed objects, bridges, overpasses, stuff like that, if we had to deal with that at all. I'm not saying we're going to, but it's something we're going to keep an eye on. So get ready because it is going to get quite cold. And considering it's one of our first big cold fronts of the fall, it is going to feel even colder. And the north winds at 50 aren't going to help, especially if it is accompanied by light rain. So, next few days, it's going to feel like September, with all the moisture in place, the tropics, all that. And then we are going to change into winter very quickly. And this is the one where you're going to want to get your winter coat out because it's going to get cold. We'll keep an eye on it. And, well, thanks for liking. Thanks for commenting. Thanks for hitting that bell, subscribing, getting notified. We appreciate it. We'll chat with y'all again a bit later today and tonight as we keep an eye on the heavy rain and storms. And as always, you can get your local weather forecast in the free Texas Storm Chasers mobile app with interactive weather radars, storm chasing video, your local weather forecast, that fun stuff. We'll be chatting. We'll be keeping an eye on things. Y'all make it a good Wednesday, and God bless.